Okay, Reddit, lay it on me. Am I the asshole here? Because my best friend of 15 years, Emily, has basically excommunicated me from her life. I'm talking blocked on every platform. My texts are a sea of unanswered green bubbles, and my calls go straight to a voicemail that's probably been full for weeks. It's like I've just ceased to exist to her. And my crime, the grand betrayal that warranted this silent treatment, I was honest. Brutally honest, maybe, but honest nonetheless. She wants to quit her perfectly stable, respectable job to open an independent bookstore. I know, it sounds like the plot of a feel-good movie where the plucky heroine triumphs against all odds. But this is real life, and in real life, plucky heroines go bankrupt. Look, I'm a risk analyst for a major investment firm. My entire job is to look at spreadsheets, data models, and market trends and tell people that their passion project is a statistical black hole. I dissect dreams for a living. It's not a fun job, but it's a necessary one. So when she came to me, her best friend the financial expert, with a binder that was less a business plan and more a scrapbook filled with fabric swatches for the reading nook and a hand-drawn logo, I couldn't just lie. I couldn't just say, "Oh, that's wonderful." That's not friendship. That's being an accomplice to financial suicide. So I did what I thought any real friend would do. I told her the truth. I told her it was a terrible idea. And now, apparently, I'm the villain for trying to save her from herself. She's calling me cruel, but isn't it crueler to let someone you love walk right off a financial cliff while you just smile and wave? This is what kills me. She of all people should know I only ever want what's best for her. We've been a team since we were 17, a two-woman operation against the world. And let's be clear, I was never the naturally brilliant one. I was the one who could cram, who could pull all-nighters fueled by cheap energy drinks and sheer panic. Emily was the strategist. She saw the whole chessboard while I was just trying not to get my queen taken. When we were drowning in university applications, I was so overwhelmed I was ready to just apply to the local community college and be done with it. Emily took one look at my face, marched into my room, and took over my desk. Armed with a set of highlighters and a terrifyingly determined expression, she found a loophole in the financial aid forms that saved my parents thousands. She practically rewrote my entrance essay, taking my jumbled, anxious thoughts and weaving them into something that sounded like a future leader, not a scared teenager. She's always been the guide, the one holding the map. When I was paralyzed by the post-graduation void, convinced I was fundamentally unemployable, she was the one who physically dragged me to a campus job fair. I was hiding in our dorm room, having a full-blown panic attack about imposter syndrome. She yanked me out of bed, threw a blazer at me, and shoved my resume into my hand. "You're going," she'd said, her voice leaving no room for argument. "You have the grades, V. You just need to show up. The rest is just talking." She walked with me to every single booth. That's how I landed my first internship, the one that set my entire career in motion. Even when I was studying for my certification exams, a soul-crushing experience that nearly broke me, she was my anchor. I'd be up until 3 a.m., staring at formulas that looked like a foreign language, and she'd be right there next to me at our tiny kitchen table. Not studying with me. She was a librarian, this stuff was way out of her league, but just being there. She'd make me fresh coffee, quiz me with flashcards she'd made herself, and patiently listen to me rant about how impossible it all was. She was better at organizing my own thoughts than I was, creating mind maps and mnemonic devices that actually made sense. And when my ex, Richard, dumped me 2 weeks before my final exam, I completely fell apart. I was ready to quit everything. It was Emily who showed up at my door with 2 pints of ice cream and a ruthless, color-coded post-Richard recovery protocol. Phase 1. Wallowing 24-hour time limit. Phase 2. Purge, blocking him everywhere, boxing up his crap. Phase 3. Rebuild. She's the one who found the job posting for the firm I'm at now. She coached me through the interviews, telling me what to wear, what to say. I got the job, of course. We were an unbeatable team. I was the engine, maybe, but she was always the navigator. She was the one who made sure I never, ever failed. So, after years of me grinding away, climbing the corporate ladder, and finally achieving a level of financial security we used to dream about, Emily makes her big announcement. She's quitting her job. The stable, union-protected librarian gig with a pension that she's had since we graduated. The job she was perfect for, surrounded by books and quiet order. And for what? To pour every single penny she has, her life savings, plus a small but significant inheritance from her grandmother, into opening a community bookstore. When she told me over brunch, I think my fork literally stopped halfway to my mouth. I just stared at her, waiting for the punchline. But she was beaming, her eyes sparkling with this terrifyingly earnest passion that I hadn't seen in years. She slid a thick, fabric-covered binder across the table. "My business plan," she announced, like she was unveiling a masterpiece. It wasn't a business plan, it was a manifesto, a scrapbook of a dream. It was filled with descriptions of a third place for the community, a cultural oasis, a space for quiet connection. The financials section was a single page of hopeful, wildly optimistic projections that looked like they were calculated on the back of a napkin. There was no mention of rent, utilities, inventory costs, or employee salaries. I tried to be gentle at first. I really did. This is a lot," I said, flipping through pages of pressed flowers and quotes from Virginia Woolf. "It's beautiful, but where's the market analysis? The competitor breakdown? You know there's a Barnes and Noble less than 2 miles from the location you want, right? Where are the cash flow projections for the first 3 years?" She just laughed, that breezy, artistic laugh of hers that always made me feel like a cynical old woman. "Oh, that's the boring stuff, V. That's why I need you. But can you just imagine it? A little corner shop, filled with light, with a cozy chair where Mrs. Henderson from down the street can read to the neighborhood kids. It's not about competing with the big chains. It's about creating a feeling." I couldn't imagine it. The only feeling I could conjure was the cold dread of impending failure. All I could see were stacks of unpaid invoices, threatening letters from suppliers, and a giant, sad, going out of business sign hanging in the window. I saw her nest egg, the money her grandmother wanted her to use for a down payment on a house, evaporating into thin air to fund a feeling. She was taking the one thing she had, security, and setting it on fire for a romantic, completely unviable fantasy. It was, without a doubt, the single dumbest, most reckless idea I had ever heard in my entire life. The breaking point came a week later. She invited me over to her apartment, all excitement and nervous energy. The air smelled of garlic and basil. She'd made my favorite pasta and opened a bottle of good wine, the expensive kind we only got for celebrations. The binder was sitting on the coffee table like a sacred text. "Okay," she said, her voice trembling slightly but her eyes bright. "I'm ready. Give me the tough love. I want my best friend, the financial wizard, to poke all the holes so I can patch them up. Don't hold back, V. I need your brain for this. Tear it apart." She asked for it. She literally asked for it. So I started. At first, I stuck to the numbers, my red pen moving like a scalpel across the pages. I was in my element, pointing out every flaw with surgical precision. You've allocated $500 for initial inventory. That might buy you the complete works of Shakespeare and a handful of bestsellers. You need tens of thousands minimum. Where's your POS system budget? Your insurance? Your business license fees? And this marketing budget of $200 for flyers, are you kidding me? A single sponsored post on Instagram costs more than that. It's a rounding error, not a budget. With every point I made, her smile got a little tighter, a little more strained. Her shoulders started to hunch. She tried to defend it, of course, with her usual brand of dreamy optimism. "I'll start small," she'd say, her voice getting quieter. "It's about curated selections, not massive stock." Or, "I'll handle the accounting myself at first. I can learn QuickBooks. It can't be that hard." That's when I lost my patience. It was like trying to explain quantum physics to a poet who insists the universe runs on feelings. This wasn't about the numbers anymore. The numbers were just a symptom of the real, fundamental problem. Her. I capped my pen with a sharp, definitive click and pushed the binder aside, the gesture a clear dismissal. "The plan isn't the issue, Emily. You are." The moment I said it, the floodgates opened. It was a tidal wave of every observation, every concern, every doubt I'd ever had about her, all disguised as helpful, necessary truth. Let's be brutally honest here, because someone has to be, and clearly no one else in your life has the guts. You are not cut out for this. You're a wonderful person, the best, but you're not a business owner. You're too soft. You let the barista at Starbucks bully you into buying a bigger size yesterday because you didn't want to be difficult. How are you going to negotiate with suppliers? How are you going to fire someone when you find out they're stealing from you? You'd probably apologize to them for the inconvenience and give them a severance package. Her face had gone completely pale, her mouth slightly open, but I couldn't stop. I was on a roll, convinced I was breaking through her delusion. And let's talk about follow-through. It's your biggest weakness. You get these intense passions that last for 6 months, and then you just drop them. Remember pottery? You bought a wheel and everything, insisted it was your true calling. It's still collecting dust in your parents' garage. Remember learning Italian for that trip we were supposed to take. You quit after 3 lessons because the grammar was too rigid. A business isn't a hobby you can just abandon when it gets hard, Em. It's a goddamn anchor, and it will drown you. I leaned in, my voice lower, more intense, convinced I was about to deliver the final killer blow that would finally make her see reason. And most importantly, you don't handle stress well. You just don't. Remember when your landlord was being a jerk about the leaky faucet? You had a full-blown meltdown for a week. A week over a faucet. You were calling me in tears every night, unable to sleep. Owning a business is a constant, raging dumpster fire of stress. It will eat you alive. You're not built for it. I sat back, breathing a little heavily, feeling the righteous certainty of someone who has just performed a difficult but necessary surgery. I had laid it all out. The personality flaws, the track record of quitting, the emotional fragility. I had done my duty as her best friend. I had saved her from herself. I waited for the tears, the arguments, the eventual grateful admission that I was right. But the tears never came. There was no argument. There was just silence. A heavy, profound quiet that filled the room and seemed to suck all the air out. Emily just sat there on her couch, looking at me. Not with anger or sadness or any of the emotions I was prepared to handle. Her expression was completely blank, like a placid lake after a storm. It was unnerving. She looked at me for what felt like an eternity, her gaze steady and unnervingly calm, as if she was seeing me for the very first time and didn't like what she saw. Finally, she blinked slowly, as if coming out of a trance. She stood up with a strange, deliberate grace, walked over to the coffee table and picked up the binder. She didn't look at it. She just held it to her chest, her knuckles white. Then she turned back to me. "Thank you for your opinion, V," she said. Her voice was flat, devoid of any emotion at all. It was the voice you use with a stranger, a telemarketer. "I've heard everything you have to say. It was very clear." She walked towards her front door and opened it, letting the hallway light spill into her dim apartment. "I'm feeling a little tired now. I think it's best if you go home." I was stunned. This was not the script. Wait, don't shut down like this. We can talk about it." I was just being honest. I was trying to help. "You were," she interrupted, her voice still unnervingly level, not a single tremor in it. "You were very honest, and I heard you. Every word. Now please just go." I left her apartment in a state of complete confusion and, frankly, annoyance. Her passive-aggressive shutdown felt so childish, so manipulative. For the next few days, I stewed in my own frustration, replaying the conversation in my head, each time becoming more convinced of my own righteousness. I waited for the inevitable apology call, the "you were right, V, I was being silly" text. The one where she'd admit she was being too sensitive and thank me for my honesty. It never came. Instead, a week later, my phone buzzed with a single short message from her. It read, "Veronica, I've had a lot of time to think about what you said. You pointed out a lot of my weaknesses, and maybe you're right about all of them. But it's my life to live and my mistakes to make. I don't think we can be friends anymore. I wish you well." And that was it. No big fight, no dramatic blowout. Just a calm, polite, and utterly final execution of our 15-year friendship. It was a programmatic severance, clean and efficient. As if she just closed a file, stamped it terminated, and put it away forever. No room for appeal. No chance for a rebuttal. Just over, so now here I am. It's been 6 months. 6 months of silence. At first, I was just angry. How dare she? After everything I'd done for her, after all the times I'd relied on her guidance, the one time I try to return the favor and be the guide for her, I get cast aside. The injustice of it all burned in my chest. I told myself she'd come crawling back. Her ridiculous bookstore idea would inevitably fail within a few months, and she'd need me to help her pick up the pieces. I was sure of it. That's when I started watching her online. Not in a creepy way, just checking in. It became a morbid little ritual. I'd check the Instagram page she created for the store, the Gilded Page, fully expecting to see signs of struggle. At first, my grim predictions seemed to be coming true. The posts were all of her, looking exhausted, covered in paint, assembling IKEA bookshelves by herself. I'd see a picture of her looking stressed over a pile of boxes and feel a sick little jolt of satisfaction. See, I'd think, I told you so, but then things started to change. A post about her grand opening showed a small but enthusiastic crowd. Then there were pictures of a local author doing a reading, the small space packed with people. She started a children's story hour on Saturdays, and soon the pictures were filled with smiling kids and grateful-looking parents. She hosted a poetry slam, a book club for seniors. She posted a photo of a handwritten card from a customer, thanking her for creating such a wonderful, warm place. The digital breadcrumbs led me down a rabbit hole of her new life. I found the store's public business registration, the local news article about new small businesses in the neighborhood that featured a quote from her. I even found a community forum where people were raving about the store's atmosphere and Emily's amazing book recommendations. It was a digital trail, not a failure, but of a quiet, steady, and infuriating success. The final blow came last night. I was scrolling as usual when a new photo popped up. It was a candid shot, probably taken by a customer. Emily was standing behind her counter, laughing at something someone off camera had said. She wasn't wearing any makeup, her hair was in a messy bun, and she looked happier and more alive than I had ever seen her in 15 years. The light from the window was hitting her just right, and she was surrounded by books, by the little world she had built with her own 2 hands. The world I told her she was too weak, too fragile, too incompetent to create. And in that moment, staring at her radiant, carefree smile, I finally understood. She didn't fail. She was thriving, and she was doing it without me. The truth is, my help was never about her. It was about me. I was the risk analyst, the successful one. She was the librarian, the quiet sidekick. I couldn't stand the thought of her succeeding in a world I didn't understand and couldn't control. Her success doesn't just prove my analysis wrong. It proves that she never needed a navigator. And worst of all, it proves she's completely, utterly, and happily indifferent to my existence. She's moved on. And I'm the one who's been left behind, endlessly scrolling through the evidence of a life I tried and failed to destroy.